If you're talking about it,
hey, how you doing?
Let me tell you something.
They know this is coming. They've lost control.
They are too. Bernie and Sid in the morning. This is the big story. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
President Trump has just walked across the demarcation line that made him the first U.S. president to visit our country.
I just want to say that this is my honor. I didn't really expect it. We were in Japan for the G20. We came over and I said, hey, I'm over here. I want to call Chairman Kim. And we got to meet, and stepping across that line was a great honor. A lot of progress has been made. A lot of friendships have been made, and this has been in particular a great friendship. So,
you're leaving now.
Brilliant musical selection, of course. This is the group Asia. That was President Donald Trump yesterday, and yes, just 32 hours after tweeting, I'm going to North Korea, there he was, stepping over from South Korea to North Korea, something no sitting president has ever done. So an historic day yesterday for Donald Trump, but the question is, was it about that, a historic day, nice picture, or are we really on the road to peace? There's only one guy who knows all the answers, and we don't have him today. But,
now wait a minute.
What? We do have a guy that knows more about North Korea than any living person on the planet, and he's a frequent guest of our program, and we love him, the great Gordan Chang. Good morning, Gordan.
Good morning, and thank you so much, but I don't know if I really am that person, but I will do my best.
Well, who do you think that person is then? Kevin Durant?
Yeah.
No, it's you, Gordon. Come on, listen.
You're the man.
Who could be heard, by the way, on the John Batchelor show in the evenings. You're a brilliant guy. You know everything. So
everything. So let's start with this. Was yesterday about a photo op, or is there any reason for Americans to really believe that this is the beginning of some type of long-term peaceful process?
Yeah, the answer is, at this point, we just don't know. It was a photo op, but it was probably more than that. You got to remember that this is a very long process, and we won't know where it's going to end. And if President Trump is successful, we are going to look at this day as historic. And if it's not successful, we're also going to look at this day as historic. But, you know, President Trump has a plan. He announced it. He said he was going to give Kim a one-time shot to disarm. He was going to try to create this favorable environment so that Kim would feel secure. And the president has done that now for about 14 months.
Yes, he has, Gordan Chang. And also the China's President Xi met with Kim last week. And my question to you is, how do you think that played into events over the weekend? I mean, was it really spontaneous, or did something happen with that meeting between President Xi and Kim that led to this?
Well, clearly the Chinese have been trying to influence the North Koreans in a way that undercuts our diplomacy and the diplomacy of the international community. You know, you had President Trump and President Xi at the Osaka G20 talking primarily about trade. I'm sure that the Chinese dangled cooperation on North Korea in order to get concessions on trade. I'm pretty sure it did not work because President Trump just did not take that particular bait. Basically, Trump cut the Chinese out of the process by meeting North Koreans directly, and that's a very good thing.
You know, I agree. I think it's great. But then you have, of course, the Trump detractors that have an issue when he shakes his hand not just once but twice. Very genial, smiling, hey buddy, hey pal, for a guy who's really one of the most ruthless dictators in recent memory. What do you think about those folks who watch that and go, really?
Well, you know, me, like a lot of Americans, wish that President Trump would go a little easy on the praise for Kim Jongun.
Right.
Because, yes, we do need to talk to Kim. We do need to have a deal, but no, we don't need to legitimize him further than talking would do so. At this particular time, that's Trump's style. If it works, we are going to say he's brilliant. If it doesn't, I think history will say that he went too far. But the present time right now, Trump is doing more on North Korea than previous presidents. I think he's making a little bit of progress, not as much as he should. I think President Trump should be using more sanctions, more harsh measures. But nonetheless, I'm glad that the president is dealing with this because the previous president just let North Korea fester essentially for 8 years.
Yeah, he's working the little fat boy, clearly, at this point. And look, if it does ever come to hostilities, you won't be able to say, at least he didn't try. I mean, he's trying every damn thing. The same thing with Iran. Nothing gained here, nothing lost, as you point out. But what is Kim's end game? I mean, North Korea is strangling economically. There's also talk about a nuclear freeze. I mean, what is Kim looking for? Obviously, sanctions relief, but go ahead.
Yeah, sanctions relief. He's looking for continuation of the regime. He is not. I don't think he's looking for prosperity for North Korea, because the Kim family has kept in power for now 7 decades by keeping North Koreans destitute, so they don't have the means to resist. So when President Trump showed that 4-minute video to Kim at the June Singapore summit last year, I think Kim looked at that and said, yeah, I'd like to have a lot of money, but this is not the vision I have for North Korea. This is our vision for North Korea. It's not necessarily Kim's.
I think it's pretty obvious now, Gordan Chang, there's going to be a 4th meeting between President Trump and Kim Jongun after yesterday. Donald Trump kind of more than floated. He actually invited Kim Jong-un to the White House. What are your thoughts on that?
We need to have him on U.S. soil, but not at the White House. Certainly, we do not need a 21-gun salute or a state dinner in the East Room.
So where would you have it then?
I would have it on U.S. soil, so Guam would qualify. That's the island in the Pacific. That's actually not that far from North Korea. But, I don't think it's so much location. I think it's the atmospherics. We do not need a state visit. And as we talked about before, we shouldn't legitimize Kim rule, because Kim, let's remember, it runs the most brutal dictatorship on earth. And we have never to forget that.
No, we don't. And, just thinking out of the box, I mean, this is maybe wild, but let's say Kim came to a place like Guam, some neutral place, or some United States-controlled place even, and we just grabbed him and tried him for war crimes. And, and then the other people back in North Korea, they can do whatever they want. They would probably prefer prosperity as opposed to a continued Kim-style regime. I mean, is that something that could possibly ever happen in this globe?
I actually don't think so. And the reason is there are a lot of other more effective ways of dealing with Kim than actually apprehending him. That's, for instance, letting the North Koreans apprehend him, which probably could happen, especially given what's happening inside of North Korea right now. So, for instance, there's been an increase in expectations because people have said, look, we're going to have a deal with the U.S. That means Kim has got to carry through and deliver prosperity to his people. That's something Kim doesn't want to do. And if he doesn't do it, the North Korean people may solve this problem for us.
Let's wrap this up, Gordan, with China. President Trump talking to Xi last week. Where are we in terms of moving those talks along?
Well, unfortunately, President Trump said he was going to give a reprieve to Huawei Technologies, which is the Chinese telecom equipment manufacturer, which poses a threat to us and our friends and allies. It steals U.S. intellectual property. It's done so from the very beginning.
But doesn't Trump know that? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't understand either, and I think that we're going to see the administration walk that back. The bad thing here, Bernie and Sid, is essentially Xi Jinping, the Chinese ruler, issued a public demand to the United States to give the reprieve to Huawei, and unfortunately, President Trump complied at the Osaka G20. This is not good diplomacy because it means that the Chinese ruler is essentially telling the U.S. what to do.
Well, I will say this. The markets are responding favorably to whatever the hell he did over the weekend, and hopefully, in his own Machiavellian way, Trump knows what he's doing and will get what he wants favorable to the United States. I mean, nobody can delve into his mind, but we can keep hope alive, Gordan Chang. And look, it's always great talking to you about this stuff because who better? So thank you for appearing on the Bernie and Sid Show.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Bernie and Sid. This was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed this.
How's your softball game these days?
How's my what?
Softball. You play softball?
I'm really bad.
No kidding.
The only thing that's worse than my softball game is my golf. So, the last time I shot was 158.
Wow. And that was the front nine.
No, that was for 3 holes.
Gordan Chang.
Thank you, Gordan. Excellent job. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
All right, take care. Gordan Chang, we got lots more to do. The new owner of WABC, John Katsimides. What's he joining us? What time?
8:05.
And then what time is Ron Swoboda?
He is 8:40, and it's Katsimides.
Right. What a great show today. Joe Tacopina just texted me. He's available today. You want to talk to him?
No.
Okay, great. 1-800-848-WABC.
I tell you, he's a tough crowd.
So I was in your old neighborhood last night, Bernard. I want to get to that when we come back on the Bernie and Sid Show.
Gotta got no respect at all. Bernie and Sid in the morning. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
Hey, it's Brian Kilmeade. Brian Kilmeade, host of Fox News Radio. Join me every weekday morning at 10, right after Bernie and Sid in the morning on 77 WABC.